It was 1987 in the summer. I'm 10 years old in the 4th grade. And we're living with my grandmother because she's disabled and we're helping to take care of her. Now, I'm used to helping to take care of my grandma. But on this particular day, I really wanted to play kickball because it should be an Olympic sport. And I really wanted to play. And so, but my grandma, she's like, hey, I need you to help me go to the bathroom. And so I say, okay. So I go in there. I say, yes, ma'am. I go in there and help her to go to the bathroom. And I'm like, I'm mad. I'm like, why don't you ask your son to help you to go to the bathroom? And she asked me, she said, if you needed help going to the bathroom, would you ask a boy? I said, no, ma'am. Then she said, if I could do it by myself, I wouldn't ask for your help. She died 2 years later, and those words always stick with me because I learned so much. I learned to have empathy for people, and in having empathy for people, I could put myself in their shoes. I learned patience. I learned to be present with people. I learned to advocate for those who need it most. Speed up 2 years later, I'm in the 6th grade, and 12 years old, it's the end of the semester, end of the spring semester, and I'm standing in line for music with the rest of my class, and Rosie comes over frantic. Can I stand with you all? Now, Rosie is being bullied, but she comes to me, the most unlikely person. I'm short, she's tall, she's bigger bodied, I'm tiny. She is super she's out here and she's just always talking to folks and I'm not. But something on the inside of me said, help her. It was like I could read what she wasn't saying. I could hear what she wasn't saying, which was, please, please help me. And so I did. Because I knew I couldn't do it because I'm not a fighter. But I said, if we got her some help, if we got her to the principal or the counselor's office, then she could get her help. Now that was 30 years ago. And I'm now trained as an educator, a researcher, an organizer, and a yoga instructor to help people from all different backgrounds, all different socioeconomic statuses and personalities. And that's what I do. I help people because I care. I can hear what they're not saying. People confide in me because they feel comfortable, because I make them feel seen, heard, protected, and cared for. And I help them to liberate their genius. I was 33 years old in my Jesus year, grad student at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. I was a PhD student, and life was good. Yet I was 5 minutes away, not 5 minutes from my house, and I was on a bridge. I had just drank a whole bottle of Patron. I had bricks in my backpack. I had rope around my body. Just below me was 20 feet of water. I was ready to jump. How did I get here? I had just got out of a situationship. I was angry. I felt betrayed. I felt alone. I felt stupid. How could I have gotten myself into one of those entanglements? I was depressed. And I went to church, and in those churches I had learned that I was supposed to forgive and forget, but I couldn't. And because I couldn't forget, then I was mad at myself because I couldn't make myself happy. I couldn't forgive. And then so I felt like a hypocrite because how am I teaching my students to believe in themselves and when life's challenges happen to them that, those are things that sets them up for something bigger and better. And I didn't believe in myself at this point. And I hated myself for that. And so I was on the bridge because at least they should have somebody that was honest. Now, what I realized is that in looking back, it wasn't the situationship that brought me to the bridge. Instead, It was all of my hurt and harm and unhealed trauma. Before I jumped, I sent a text to my friends and I said, I love you. And one of my friends who was concerned, she sent a message back saying, can we talk about this in the morning? And me with my old integrity having self, I was like, okay. So I got off the bridge and walked home. But what I learned is, after the bridge moment, my friends taught me that the power of presence, when people are present, they just listen to my story and they just let me cry. That's exactly what I needed. My therapist taught me that it was okay to feel my feelings because that's a part of the healing process. And my life coach taught me that love is a practice and it starts with self first. With those lessons, I learned that the biggest thing I learned was that in order to step into our genius, we have to recognize that all of our experiences, they help give us much needed information to help us to release that genius and the experiences that we have and the passion and talent all bundled into one. That's our medicine, our gift for ourselves and the entire community. That's our genius. And that's what I help do. I help people to liberate that inner genius and realize your experiences, they play a role for the medicine for all of us. It was November 2013. I was in graduate school at the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. And I'm supposed to be living my best PhD life, right? But I get a call from my aunt who's in St. Louis, Missouri. And we're talking and she says, April, something ain't right with your mama. And I'm like, what? Like, wait, she's in her 50s, so I was like, is she sick? Like, what's going on? And she says, something ain't right with your mama. You need to come home and check on her. I said, yes, ma'am. That weekend I went home and, I'm learning to be a researcher, so I started observing. And I observed her at church. I observed her in her home office. And I also observed her daily activity. And something wasn't right. So I make an appointment with the doctor, and so I go back to school, come back in December, and we're sitting in the doctor's office when the doctor says these words to my mom. You have frontotemporal dementia. I said, can you just sit with my mom just for a moment? Because I'm holding back tears and I just didn't want my mom to see me like this. So I went to the bathroom and I just bawled. This was my mom. And I was like, to me, it was a death sentence. I didn't know anything about it. So we go home. I go back to school. 2014, I end up graduating and I get a job working at Kansas State University, which allowed me the flexibility to come home like once a month to support my mom. And so eventually, after 2 years, dementia kept wearing on her and she needed more support. And I decided to come home because this was my mom and I had to help her. She raised me my whole life. Like, why wouldn't I? I came home and I worked with her. I helped her day in, day out. But graduate school does not prepare you to be a caretaker. Nor does it prepare you for all the stress and anxiety that comes along with it, because I'm navigating my life as well as my mom's life. It was difficult. And so day in, day out, I'm caring for mom. And one day, the water was running, and I snapped. I was like, Mom, turn the water off. Mom, turn the water off. And I felt horrible. Miserable. This was my mom. She didn't deserve that. She didn't even know what the water was. She had dementia. It was tough, but I cared for my mom until she transitioned May 1st of 2020. Caring for my mom, Teresa Annette Warren Gardner, was my greatest thing that I've ever done, and I was honored to be there with her every step of the way. With that, I learned that We have to meet people where they are. And with that, my mom will always be with me for that. And I'm so thankful. If I could have a conversation with my 21-year-old self, what would I say? I would tell her to get a coach or a mentor, believe in yourself, trust in yourself, and listen to the voice that first time. And then I'd say, trust the process. I remember having a conversation with life coach Rebecca Leah, who specializes in individual and community healing. And it was in that moment I realized, like, man, like I could do well by myself in life, but I could do so much greater if I had some support. Like, because I needed someone who could help me tease out those things that are in my heart and my mind that I got stuck about. I needed someone who would listen to me and who had, been there, done that, had some wisdom and some insights that could offer me some things to get to the next level. Like, I needed help. Like, I was tired of walking in circles and I needed help. And so I remember one of the things that Rebecca Leah taught me was that she said, you need to have more compassion for yourself. And so she asked me, she said, now, if your niece or nephews, if they were hurting and they needed some support, like how would you support them? How would you show up for them? And I said, well, I would sit with them. I would let them know I'm there. I would let them cry if they needed to. I'd give them a hug. Whatever they needed, I would be there for them. She was like, wow, that's good. That's good. Would you judge them? And I said, no. Then she said, well, how would you show up if your friends needed help or support? And I said, I would do the same. I would ask them, like, how can I support you? Do you need me to just listen or tell a joke? What do you need? Like, I would just be there for them. Like, that presence is powerful. She said, wow, you are really, really good. She said, now, when are you going to show up for yourself like that? Wait a minute. She ain't had to snatch all my edges now. Wait a minute. Okay. And so I leave the office and I'm headed to dance class afterwards. I was in this African dance class and we're going to have a performance. And I'm like, okay, I got to get there on time. But I felt like I needed to cry. And I was like, no, I got to get there. And then I remembered her words. And so I pulled over along the side of the road, pulled out my phone because I didn't want to look crazy. And I started talking to myself and I was like, April, what's wrong? What's going on? And when I tell you that was the best cry I think I done had in my entire life, like I should have been a better friend to myself a long time ago. The point is, get a coach or a mentor, someone who's been there, done that, they have some wisdom, because you don't have to do this alone. That's what they're there for. Reach out, get a coach or a mentor. The number one challenge holding people back from living the life they deserve and unleashing their genius is mindset. Either from like past challenges, lack of clarity. Maybe they're doing well, but are stressed out and overwhelmed. Or maybe they have it all together and have imposter syndrome. I know all this too well. I remember a time when I played basketball in college. Now, let me tell you, I was good, baby. I was good, okay? I was kind of like that deal, if I do say so myself. However, when I got to college, what I realized is that, like, everybody that deal. And I went from starting to riding the bench in college, okay? Now, I ain't no practice player, but I was a practice player. And I was like, no, I got to figure this out. I got to get some more playing time, and so I'm stressing out, I just was working, and I'm not a practice player. And I'm tired of getting beat up in practice and not even seeing the floor in the games. So I'm like, well, maybe I should just quit because they don't value me. They don't even see me. And that's when it hit me. I got to get over this mentally, because I still was a good player and I had things of value to offer the team. When I made that realization, I was like, okay, well, if I'm going to be a practice player, baby, I'm going to be the best practice player. And I'm going to push myself and the team to help us all be better. And as a result of that, I got a little bit more clock. I didn't get a whole lot, but I got a little bit more clock. But then I ended up becoming like the motivational speaker for our team, like before the games. So I had to overcome that mindset, that mentality, and realize I had to find my role and play my part. And isn't that what life's all about, us finding our roles and playing our part? Now, let me tell you about somebody I helped. We're going to stick with basketball since I'm there. One of my former basketball players, Rebecca Christian, she sent me a Facebook message in 2024 in February. And she said, you know, I just need some guidance at this point in my life. I just feel like I need a coach, or I need some help or something. And so, you know, that's my basketball player. Once a coach, always a coach. And I said, bet, let's meet up. And so we met up for ice cream, and I just listened to her. And she was expressing how she was having some challenges, and she was having some health challenges. She thought she wanted to like start a business, but wasn't sure on how to do it or what to do. And I said, bet. First of all, let me share some insight on how I've navigated challenges in my life. Second, here's my primary care physician. Give her a call. You're going to love her. And then I said, there's this entrepreneurship program. It's like a 6-month program. I think you're going to love it. And so speed up a year later, she invites me to the graduation of that entrepreneurship program. She was graduating, and she was now a proud owner of a food truck. Now, she also has her primary care physician, who she absolutely loves, getting her health together, and she has a totally different outlook on life. Listen, I helped her to transform her life and to bring out her inner genius. And that's my whole mission in life, helping to liberate the genius that's already in folks. Why do people hire us? Why do people hire our company? You know, people are really struggling trying to find an organization, a company that they can trust, that listens to their deepest fears and insecurities, that cares about them as a person. And, you know, they're looking for all this stuff. And that's when they find us, because this is who we are. People trust us because we care. Not only do we care, but we listen to their stories. We listen to what they're saying and also what they're not saying, which is the genius inside of them. Take, for instance, Michael. Michael called us and he said, my life is falling apart. He said, I lost my job 6 months ago, and I've been putting in application after application and getting no response. My wife and I were going through a divorce, and we're at odds trying to figure out who our daughter should live with and what high school she should go to. And I just feel like I'm failing at every aspect of my life. I just don't know what to do. I'm struggling. And so I listened, and I said, I am so sorry that you are experiencing these life-changing moments. I am so sorry because I know it sucks. I know it must be miserable. I'm so sorry. But then I reminded him of just how dope he really is. I was like, man, anybody would be lucky to have you working with their company because all of your skills are transferable. You got all these skills, all these talents, your experience, my goodness. And with that, they're transferable skills. So you literally could open yourself up to a whole new industry. And so with that, I gave him tips on how to reorganize and restructure his resume. Then I said, now, when it comes to your daughter, how about this? You, your wife, and your daughter, make a list of everything you all are looking for a school. Make a list of everything that you all are looking for your daughter in a school, of things that you all think she needs and wants, right? Make a list. After you do that, set up a meeting. Make a meeting with the principal at either schools and or the superintendent and essentially interview them. And whichever one closely matches what you all came up with, that's probably the school she should go to. Now, Michael, he just needed clarity on all these life-changing events. He just needed to know that he was on the right track, making the right moves for himself and his daughter. He needed peace of mind, right? And that's what we do. We help people like Michael all the time because he wasn't just looking for like an AI solution. He was looking for an out-of-the-box solution that was personalized just for him and that cares for him as a person. We're helping people like Michael all the time across the globe. We're helping them to liberate the genius that's already inside of them. We're doing this for people just like Michael. And we can do the same thing for you. Looking forward to it. What have I enjoyed the most? Man, it's been like family. Like just coming home, like I'm just coming home for a little family reunion. We having fun, like a barbecue, like a kid. Listen, if you want to have a good time, come over here with Shay and the team, and you will be treated just like one of the family members. And then I love like all the lights, camera, action. Like, okay, I feel like, okay, all right. Beyonce does her thing, but I can do my thing as well, okay? Man, it was just the setup. It was professional. I'm like, okay, I might need to hire them to do all my stuff. Like, how can I get a team like Shay to be on my team? Like, team, I'm down, okay? Just tell me what I got to do. Put me in the game, coach. Like, I'm ready. Like, let's work together. Let's make this a thing. Like, ain't no breaking up. We go together, boo. Okay, we go together. When I meet good people, and this team is good people, ain't no breaking up. We go together. I loved it. Every last bit.